Welcome to another round of Prem and Proper, another season of Prem and Proper here at SDH. We'll take you through the Premier League, get you ready for everything that's going on your Friday and your weekend, all the news and notes and transfers and everything to keep an eye on, injuries, and all the stuff, official term. But let's go backward before we go forward and get you ready for the weekend, get you reminded about what happened in Matchweek 1 in the Premier League. And going through the results, we'll start you off with your Friday night football and work your way forward. Manchester City 3 on the board, shutting out Burnley at a minus 294. And the Vincent Kompany Bowl at Turf Moor, Manchester City starts out with a 3-0 win. Saturday, always full. The early match, Arsenal 2-1 winners over Nottingham Forest at a minus 526. News on both Manchester City and Arsenal coming up in just a little bit. Crystal Palace with a goal on the board beat Sheffield United by the final of 1-0 at a plus 117 at Bramall Lane. Fulham, a late goal by DeCordova Reed, gets the win at a plus 231 at Everton 1-0. Everton fans booing the team off the pitch already in match week 1. Brighton welcomed Luton Town to the Premier League with a 4-1 win at a minus 345. Bournemouth scores a second-half equalizer to get a point at Vitality, 1-1 with West Ham at a plus 252. Newcastle, the showing of the weekend, 5 on the board at home against Aston Villa at a minus 154. Then your Sunday 2 matches, Brentford and Tottenham. Welcome to Ange Ball, up 2-0, 2-2 draw with Brentford at a plus 252. Chelsea and Liverpool, the match of matches on the weekend on Sunday, Chelsea and Liverpool a 1-1 draw to plus 274. Then Monday Night Football, Manchester United 1-0 winners over Wolves in Gary O'Neill's debut. Manchester United gets the win at Old Trafford at a minus 357. So standings, obviously, you're either going to have 3, 1, or no points heading into the weekend. Your 3-pointers, Newcastle on top on goal difference. Brighton, Manchester City, Arsenal, Fulham, Manchester United, Crystal Palace. That gets you to 8th, where the 1-pointers are Spurs, Brentford, Chelsea, Liverpool, West Ham, and Bournemouth. And then the folks that did not score going by goal difference. And on your way down, it is Forest in 14th, Everton, Sheffield United, Wolves, Luton Town, Burnley, and Aston Villa after their 5-1 loss. Let's get you into the sound to get you ready for the week. What about West Ham? No Harry Maguire. There's some folks that they're chasing. Darmish Seth at Sky Sports News has the update on what they may be doing as the window starts to close.
For West Ham fans.
Yeah, look, they are looking at other options. Once they found out that the Harry Maguire deal wasn't going to happen, they've looked at other options. And I think they were looking at all of these players alongside Harry Maguire, because a club can't just go into a window and say, this is the one target we're going for, and not have anything else in the background to be able to work on. So we understand that the West Ham United technical director, Tim Stuyton, he's actually in the Netherlands just now for face-to-face talks with Ajax over the signing of Mohamed Kudus, number 1. That could potentially be as a replacement for Lucas Paqueta. I know West Ham fans won't want to hear that. But with regard to a central defender, West Ham close to an agreement now with Stuttgart over the signing of their Greek international defender, Konstantinos Mavropanos.
Like that, Darmish. Well done.
Thank you. And he's a former Arsenal defender, has entered the final 2 years of his contract, so probably Stuttgart are thinking themselves, this is going to be the optimum time to get the maximum transfer fee for him. And they obviously turned their attention to Mavropanos when it quickly became evident that the Maguire deal wasn't going to happen. One other deal quickly to tell you about, potential deal with an exciting one and an interesting one. Jesse Lingard, we know, has been training with West Ham United primarily to keep his fitness up. But by all accounts, he's been impressing the coaching staff at West Ham United, and they continue to monitor his performance. And a short-term deal has not been ruled out. Definitely one to keep an eye on.
Chelsea nearing $1 billion in transfers since Bowley Clearlake have come in the door. And obviously, they're not done. There were folks that were mentioned even earlier today on SDH. What about transfer talk in Chelsea? Once again, courtesy of our friends at Sky Sports News.
I don't think you can rule out Chelsea making any more moves. I think we've all learnt that from the last window in January when Todd Bowley was really spending. A lot of questions were asked of how are they doing this? Surely it's going to get to the summer and they're not going to be able to do anything similar to that. But like James has spoken about and a lot of other people have been talking about, that the fact that they've sold so many players and kind of balanced their books has actually really helped them to be able to keep doing this. But if you're looking from a fan perspective at Chelsea, you're probably saying, well, the idea was to have Kepa be the number one, sending Mendy off to Saudi Arabia. That was probably Pochettino's primary plan. He then joins Real Madrid because of Thibaut Courtois' injury, and that promotes Sanchez to kind of the number one who was supposed to kind of bring competition to Kepa. Now, how comfortable is the likes of Chelsea, the board, and more importantly, the manager, Mauricio Pochettino, with Sanchez being now the number one?
He hadn't played since April.
Exactly. It's an awfully long time. And yes, he played against Liverpool and has had to fill in. They've had to deal with that at relatively short notice. But now they know there's a couple of weeks left of the window. You would think they would try and look at that. Then you're looking at the top end of the pitch at striker now. Nicholas Jackson looks really sharp against Liverpool. Looks a little bit rough around the edges, but looks sharp. Looks like he can contribute. Looks like he can engage in defenders. He looks fearless. But Broja looking potentially at a move away as well to Roma. Could Chelsea then look at another number 9? Now, the emphasis on maybe one number 9 who has all the pressure on his shoulders, maybe they've moved away from that. But maybe they could be looking for reinforcements there. And the players that they've brought in, Caicedo, Jackson, Disasi, and Kunku, even though there's a bit of an injury there, Lavia, there is a lot there. Potentially Elise. But I just think if they are going to spend more, it could potentially be for those two players.
News on Jurrien Timber is not good. Here was the update as it happened.
We have some breaking news, and I'm afraid it's not good news if you are an Arsenal fan. They have just released this statement, and it's about one of their summer signings, Jurrien Timber. They said this: further to detailed assessments with consultant specialists since Saturday when Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest 2-1, we can confirm that Jurrien Timber has sustained an injury to his anterior cruciate ligament in his right knee, the ACL in his right knee. Jurrien will undergo surgery in the coming days and will be out of action for a period of time. The support and expertise from our medical team and everyone at the club will now be focused on Jurrien's rehabilitation programme to ensure that he recovers well and is back playing as soon as possible. So just confirmation there from Arsenal that he has suffered an injury to his ACL in his right knee. That after Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest 2-1 on Saturday.
Then Eric Ten Hag on Peacock with the NBC Sports crew. Tim Howard, the two Robbies, and Rebecca Lowe after their 1-0 win. This is courtesy of our friends at Peacock and the Premier League.
Just quickly, Eric, how did you feel tonight went in terms of performance?
Oh, we are very pleased with the win, and we had to fight for it. It was, I think it was a game head-to-head. It was really equal on the pitch, and against a good Wolf, so then you are really happy you win the game.
Okay, Tim?
We spoke to your captain, Bruno Fernandes, and he just talked about how tight the spaces were from Wolves. The tempo was a bit slow at the back. Were you okay with just the way that you moved the ball back to front?
I think we had to be more calm, and it's not about the tempo from the back, because they defended very well. They closed the middle, and then you have to make better angles. We could do that better. We can make a better formation. So that is a thing we can definitely learn. But also we had to show really sloppy giveaways, and there were many, especially the front line. And then you don't find your game as you want to play.
Eric, we saw Manchester United last season finish third, playing some fantastic football, very, very fast football, great attacking football. I didn't see it much tonight. It seemed a struggle to connect passes, to get on the front foot, to get these fans behind you. Is it just maybe first game of the season where you're just finding your feet again, or are you more disappointed with the level of play?
I think I felt the vibe in Old Trafford was definitely there. The fans were behind this team, and this was not our best game. But I'm all that long in football. I know first game most of the times is not the best game, and we have to improve. We know that, but I'm pleased. We win. I think a clean sheet, very good. I think we pressed many times very well. I think we had 5, 6, maybe 7 good ball regains high on the pitch, and in the turnovers we had to be more effective. But later on in the game we defended very well the box in a low block. So I think there were also many positives from this game.
Can you just tell us a little bit about Rasmus Højlund, who's come into the football club, will play as centre forward? Obviously he's injured at the moment. Can you tell us what we could expect from him?
Yeah, he's a player very direct. Very eager for scoring goals. He brings physical in. But we are convinced he will succeed here, but he needs time. First time to integrate in the team. Of course, he has also to recover from a small issue. But we wait for him, and our side will even be stronger with him.
Then Cole Palmer, who has scored in every competition that he has participated in short of the Premier League, and that's probably coming sooner rather than later. Pep Guardiola was asked about Cole Palmer's future. Not a surprise. One of two things from the mind of Pep Guardiola, courtesy of Manchester City, their own selves in the Premier League.
I don't think loan is going to happen. I was going to stay, I was going to sell, but I think loan is not going to happen.
A little bit on his performance tonight.
You have a character, a part of the goal. So he was a little bit shy. It's not easy to play against defenders like Acuna, for example, is a top defender. It's not easy. It's a final. He's a young player playing these stages. It's not easy for these guys. And play are really, really good and make a fantastic goal too.
So that sets us up for the weekend. Arsenal considering both Benjamin Pavard and Joao Cancelo as possible replacements for the injured Jurrien Timber. Pavard, desperate to quit Bayern Munich, according to our friends at TalkSport, had been hoping to join Manchester United, but since Harry Maguire rejected a move to West Ham, that meant that Pavard was stuck at Bayern. French World Cup winning defender appeals to Mikel Arteta due to his ability to play as a right back or as a right-sided center back. Cancelo is also admired by Arteta, and the Gunners could step into rival Barcelona in the race to sign the Manchester City product. Another possible target, according to TalkSport, Southampton's Kyle Walker-Peters, although the Saints are under no pressure to sell after raising $128 million from offloading James Ward-Prowse, Tino Livramento, and Romeo Lavia. What to do about David De Gea? He's a free agent right now. Snubbed by Bayern Munich, Thomas Tuchel was not interested. Released by United in the offseason, close to joining Real Madrid before they signed Kepa from Chelsea on loan. Chelsea also understood to have considered De Gea, reluctant to commit to his wage demands. He rejected, meaning De Gea, lucrative offers from Saudi Arabia earlier this summer, but may now be tempted to change his mind. Nottingham Forest are the latest Premier League club to show an interest in Lille midfielder Carlos Baleba, the 19-year-old being eyed by Brighton to fill the void left by Moises Caicedo and the move to Chelsea. Forest have also held talks for the £25 million rated Cameroonian who played 20 league matches for Lille last year. Steve Cooper, less than active in the transfer market this summer than last, but he feels that pushing for reinforcements, Baleba fits the bill. Tyler Adams, Bournemouth pays an extra $3 million, so close to about $24 million. Tyler Adams and Bournemouth will be sharing time for the upcoming season after the release clause was triggered. It went from 20 initially, so $24 million is the number, courtesy of our friends at TalkSport. And so Tyler Adams heading to Bournemouth. We'll be keeping an eye on that going forward. Looking at your previews, obviously, juice boxes heading into today. Friday night football is at 2:45. It is Nottingham Forest hosting Sheffield United. Forest at City Ground are a -108. Your draws a +246. Sheffield United are a +336. 4 matches were initially scheduled for Saturday morning at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Fulham, an underdog at Craven Cottage as Brentford comes to town at a +161. Fulham's a +177. Your draws a +242. Liverpool at Anfield hosting Bournemouth at a -417. Bournemouth north of a +1,050 to win. Luton Town and Burnley postponed. Luton is still trying to make their ground up to spec, so their home opener has been pushed back a bit. The fourth 10 o'clock start, Wolves and Brighton. Brighton comes to the Molineux at a -114. Your draws a +290. Wolves are a +305. Spurs and Manchester United are at 12:30. Manchester United to Tottenham Stadium is a +137. Spurs a +186. Your draws a +281. 3 o'clock. So you play in the Super Cup in midweek, and you get the late game on Saturday. Manchester City at the Etihad is hosting Newcastle, and they're a -139. Newcastle a +376. Your draws a +309. 2 matches on your Sunday, 9 and 11:30 Eastern. Aston Villa at home hosting Everton at a -139. Everton's a +400. West Ham hosting Chelsea, who's a +110 on the road at the Olympic Stadium at a plus 256. Your draw's a plus 258. Monday Night Football, it is Crystal Palace and Arsenal. Arsenal is a minus 172 at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace is basically a plus 500. Looking at your transfers, Lewis Hall on loan, leaving Chelsea to go to Newcastle United, the obligatory £28 million purchase, weeks after signing a new 6-year deal at Chelsea. Wataru Endo for a little over £16 million, goes from Stuttgart to Liverpool. He'll wear number 3 at Anfield after having previously played for St. Truiden and Urawa Red Diamonds. Jurgen Klopp has said that his new recruit is a machine on the pitch. Gustavo Carpa, the Brazilian midfielder, is out on loan from Forest to Olympiacos. Made 6 appearances for Forest after joining from Palmeiras back in January. Romeo Lavia's deal, £53 million with a possible $5 million in add-ons a year after moved from Manchester City for $10 million. Good piece of business for Southampton. The holding midfielder wants to achieve great things after joining on a 7-year deal. Possible extra $5 million in add-ons. He'll wear the number 45. Also, over the last couple of days to kind of keep an eye on, Scott Twine goes from Burnley to Hull City on loan. The Tigers welcome a huge asset in the shape of the ex-League One Player of the Year on a season-long deal. Tim Krul has moved from Norwich to Luton Town, looking to build on 222 top-flight appearances. It was an undisclosed fee, but Tim Krul adding experience between the pipes for Luton Town. Also on the board involving teams in the Premier League. We'll get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo coming up in just a little bit. Tom Davies is rejected a Toffees deal for the next chapter in his career, so Davies goes from Everton to Sheffield United, joining the Blades on a free. Harvey Vale goes from Chelsea to Bristol Rovers. The England U20 made 5 first-team appearances last year, spent last season at Hull. Jake O'Brien, the Irish defender, goes from Crystal Palace to Lyon. The center back embarks on a new adventure after a spell at Crystal Palace via Cork for £800,000 there. Earlier in the week, Cesare Casade from Chelsea to Leicester City, the highly rated midfielder, joined from Inter last summer, 6 months on loan at Reading. Remember David Raya on loan. It is a deal that could be up to $30 million, but it's only $3 million up front, $27 million to close the deal after the loan. Signed a 2-year deal with Brentford, expected to make the Arsenal move permanent next summer. So 3 and then plus 27. Mate Kovar, the 23-year-old keeper for Manchester United, joins Bayer Leverkusen after 5 years in England for an undisclosed fee. Quoting Bayer sporting director Simon Rolfs, he is strong and good in one-on-ones. Looking at the gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go on another round of what we're looking at here on Prem and Proper. And once again, thanks for hanging out with us as you do. Chelsea's now chasing after Brennan Johnson. Looks like the price tag, thought to be 50, is now down to 40. Forest has set an asking price at Spurs, Brentford, and that was where legitimately I thought the pursuit would be coming from, would be from Brentford. Spurs, Brentford, Chelsea, all chasing Brennan Johnson from Nottingham Forest. Chelsea have also inquired about Rennes' 21-year-old winger Jeremy Doku after the move from Michael Olise fell through from Crystal Palace. West Ham, Manchester City, and Spurs are also keen on Doku, according to The Independent. According to Fabrizio Romano, Chelsea backed out of the deal to sign Olise when Palace informed club lawyers they would consider taking the case to a tribunal for tampering. Basically, tapping up is what the term is overseas. Chelsea looking at French winger Bradley Barcola, but face competition from PSG, who have a bid of €35 million turned down by Lyon. The £28 million fee we talked about with Lewis Hall, only 18 years old, but Newcastle agreed to it. Forest made a €35 million verbal offer for Monaco's midfielder Youssouf Fofana. And Davinson Sanchez is a target for Monaco after Spurs made the defender available for a move this summer. That's from our friends at The Telegraph. Manchester City trying to beat Brighton to the signing of 19-year-old Argentine left-back Valentin Barco from Boca Juniors. That's from the 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Jesse Lingard impressed West Ham during a stint training with the club. Could offer him a short-term deal for the 30-year-old. Also mentioning Liverpool interested in midfielder Mario Lemina from Wolves. Villa completing the final paperwork of a loan move for Galatasaray's Nicola Zaniolo. which would include a £22 million option to buy at the end of the year. Four-letter paper is saying Fulham's considering a move for Arsenal's Valérien Balogun. $50 million price tag is what has been floated out there. West Ham, close to agreeing to a deal with Stuttgart for defender Konstantinos Mavropanos. West Ham also advancing in talks with Ajax over midfielder Mohamed Kudus, are set to step up their interest in Montpellier's U21 striker Eli Wahi, also considering a short-term deal for Jesse Lingard, according to The Guardian. Everton and West Ham interested in signing Porto's winger Gonçalo Borges. And we mentioned everybody that might be chased by Arsenal after the Yurian Timber injury. Manchester City's Joao Cancelo remains a target for Barca. Strong interest now from clubs in Saudi Arabia. And Manchester City have paid £1 million to sign 14-year-old French midfielder Tyrese Nubissi from Leicester, according to our friends at Talk Sport. £1 million to sign a 14-year-old French midfielder. 14-year-old French midfielder. So there's that to keep an eye on as well. Also, keep an eye on the Lucas Paquetá situation involved with there was a thought that Paquetá would be involved in a move to Manchester City. Manchester City was interested, but now, because of allegations in and around betting, this is on hold. FA and FIFA betting investigation to be believed about bets placed in Brazil. Paquetá says he has not placed any bets himself and is said to be shocked by reports. £80 million deal for Paquetá to join Man City has almost been agreed. Could still happen if the issue's cleared up quickly. FA Man City to decline comment. Sky Sports has also approached FIFA for comment. So keep an eye on that one when it comes to Paquetá. Also, Man United accelerating the Sofiane Amrabat pursuit amid interest from Liverpool. Neymar has completed his switch from PSG to Al Hilal. A couple of other teams before we go. It is Luton Town have made an inquiry about sending Yaphet Tanganga on loan from Spurs. One of many clubs monitoring the situation considers offering for him before the deadline. Tanganga's on Inter Milan's target list, but they're concentrating on a deal for Pavard. Galatasaray is another club that is interested in Tanganga as well. The right-sided defender came close to joining AC Milan last year. Also on the board, no deal, according to David Moyes, about Jesse Lingard possibly being signed. Monaco remaining in talks with Arsenal over Valérien Balogun. Arsenal standing firm on the £50 million valuation. Entering the final 2 years of his contract, Valérien Balogun made it clear he wants a permanent move away to get regular first-team football. Galatasaray finalizing a deal to sign Hakim Ziyech from Chelsea. He could fly to Turkey tonight, ahead of being formally presented as a Galatasaray player. Last night, Galatasaray VP Erden Timur spoke positively about the prospect of getting a deal done. A move to Al Nassr fell through in June when a medical showed up an injury with his knee. Galatasaray are satisfied with the results of the medical that they carried out. Marco Silva's remaining tight-lipped about the future of Alexander Mitrovic at Fulham, but revealed he would miss Saturday's match against Brentford through injury. He'll be replaced by Raul Jimenez for the match at Craven Cottage. Rennes have entered the race, one of the interested parties for Tottenham midfielder Tanguy Ndombele. Rennes manager Bruno Genesio was Ndombele's manager at Lyon before he joined Spurs, bringing him in initially on loan. Keen to bring him back to Ligue 1, but may struggle to match the current salary that Hotspur are currently giving Ndombele every couple of weeks. Brentford head coach Thomas Frank expects David Raya's loan move to Arsenal to become permanent. As we said, it's looking at 3 with an additional 27, so 10% up front, 90% when they close the deal at the end of the year. David Moyes also says that Jesse Lingard's got another week to secure a deal when it comes to having a short-term contract. Also on the board, one final thing. Unai Emery, when asked about an update for Nicolo Zaniolo, whether he will replace Emi Buendia and Tyrone Mings, Emery says, "I'm focused on the match this weekend. I'm not focused on transfers." So we'll see what happens there with all of the parties that are getting activity here for week 2 in the Premier League. It's another round of Prem and Proper. Thanks for hanging out with us, as you always do when it comes to all the activity in the Premier League. Enjoy your teams, enjoy your matches, and we'll be back at it again next week for another go-round of Prem and Proper here on SDH. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you next time.